And then moving on, I'm kind of mad at you a little bit
Oh, what did I do?
with your recommendation because I kind of like for those listening, you won't understand this quite yet, but the next episode chronologically in this series I've already shot, and I kind of pulled a goof on my guests in that episode where I recommended them something that was just outright terrible, and I just had fun listening to their reactions as they tried to describe how terrible it was. So now I get to have a nice little role reversal. Couper recommended me Postal by Uwe Boll, who is, if you don't know who Uwe Boll is, he's a insane,
He's infamous.
yeah, he's an infamous, insane German director who primarily does video game adaptations. He's done some original stuff, but primarily he has a hand in video game adaptations a lot, and a lot of his work is known for being terrible. I can't say that there's any one movie he's done where I've been like, oh yeah, that's really good, I like that. And all you said about Postal was you were like, it's his one good movie, and I will say, like, I didn't want to kill myself watching this one at the very least, but just tell us what Postal's about.
So Postal the game is about a dude who just goes crazy and starts killing people, like in the town. It when it was originally made, it was a parody of the times,
Yeah.
A goof, and progressively the games have gotten more and more satirical.
Okay.
And so the movie does have that kind of satirical feel to it. Like, it doesn't take itself seriously. It's fucking stupid, and I love how stupid it is.
Okay. Fair enough.
And they have so many cameos. Zach Ward is actually very entertaining as the Postal guy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know, Zach Ward is the same guy who played in A Christmas Story, the bully, the red-haired bully.
That's where I recognized him from. I was like, he has a very distinct face.
He was also in Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
Or one of the I think it was Freddy vs. Jason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Postal.
Postal's a fucking trip.
Yeah. I think that's the most I can kind of say about it.
The game is a trip, and it's just entertaining to me.
Yeah, and I mean, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, I just had a really. This is basically. No, this is the only time so far. Yeah. This is the only time so far in the series where we've had this moment where someone's like, "I really like this movie," and I'm like, "Oh, no, this is not good." Well, but I mean, more power to you.
I actually do have. I do have a different one.
Okay.
I watched all of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies.
Okay.
And I will say I liked all of them. I'm not a massive Star Trek fan. I like Deep Space Nine. I wasn't a huge Enterprise or Voyager fan. They were good. I just preferred Deep Space Nine, and a few others. But I don't like the new Discovery and Picard are terrible. But I rewatched them, and I think they were good movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're entertaining. It's like you said, I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, but they're entertaining for what they are. More than I can say about Postal, but
I really enjoyed Postal just because of the dumbness. The idiocracy of it was amazing.
I can see that, but at the same time, I feel like the one thing I kept on thinking when I was watching it I was like, this is
why
very
am I
much
still watching this?
Well, that, but also it was very much in the way I feel like it was very much satire in the way that epic movie or disaster movie or satire, where it just felt like like that actually is like I will say because like those movies are more of like it's not really even satire at all. It's just like, hey, look at this thing that's referencing what's happening right now that no one's gonna remember 10 years from now. And Postal, I mean, has stuff like that as well, but it does also satirize like extreme violence in some ways that it is kind of effective. In other ways, it's just kind of like, okay, that's just dumb for the sake of being dumb. But
true.
Yeah.
But another one of my favorite things was the game was in the movie. Vince. Yeah. He was the crunchy doll or whatever, the crotchety doll or mascot. And the way that Uwe Boll gets shot and goes, "I fucking hate video games," I was like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that was one moment I did actually. It's
other
hard.
Than Uwe Boll getting shot.
Yeah, well, it's hard because like he wants me to laugh at that because like there is part of him like even though part of him is like I make good movies, the stuff I make is good. Like I think he does have some self-awareness where like that like the Tommy Wiseau effect where it's like, oh, it's a black comedy, guys. I make funny things. I'm self-aware. Like that was kind of like his moment to do that. You know what I mean? Like that was his moment of like, yeah, I'm self-aware, but I do make good movies, and anyone who says otherwise is an asshole. Like,
I'll beat them up.
Exactly. It was, but yeah, no, so that was satisfying to see him just get blown away, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to give Uwe Boll the satisfaction of liking something that he intended for me to like, but I don't know. It is what different strokes for different folks. It is what it is. I actually no that's actually a good point. So because I like again I just didn't like it. There's like not anything in this movie I really enjoyed, but you clearly do. So just like just tell me more about like your experience watching it. I want to kind of get inside your head trying to process this movie differently.
So I started playing Postal at Postal 2. I never played 1, but I played like all of Postal 2 and just had fun with it and knew it was like a dumb video game that was like a very black comedy.
Yeah.
So when I watched the movie, I'm like, yeah, it's not perfect. It's not like the best adaptation ever, but like just seeing all the craziness go on and the weirdness like felt very reminiscent of Postal.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Osama bin Laden is hiding out in the U.S. and he's on like speaking terms with Bush. Like that was stupid but funny.
Yeah. Does that have anything to do? Because is Postal like we're just gonna satirize everything as like a video game, or does it just satirize?
Yeah. Postal
okay.
satirizes everything as a video game.
Okay.
The movie was very heavily handed towards America.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Postal does satirize most because it's set in America.
Yeah.
But like it does show other things. But it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Just watching the madness unfold, mostly.
Yeah. As a concept, I like it. It was
kind of a movie where I just turned my brain off.
Yeah. And that's actually a good point to be made too, is because I think that a lot of people who are like not as like civil with like their discourse about like what they think about a movie that most people would say is like that like most people would say is good, and then you have like the pretentious film people who are like, no, it's trash. Like a lot of people are quick to be like, you just
speaking as yourself right now?
Well, basically, yeah, but like, I mean, you and I are civil enough where we can have a conversation and not get angry at each other about this.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like
the other day, I was talking to someone and I said I hated A Quiet Place, and they're like, "What? How?" I hated it. It was stupid.
Right, and it is a stupid movie.
But the whole concept of this one family found out that the creatures who listen from sound don't
their
like
weaknesses. Yeah, noises. Exactly.
Our greatest asset is also our biggest weakness. I'm like, huh. It's not like the U.S. military is full of really smart people, or just the government in general is full of, and not just the U.S., like the world governments. It's like, no.
Exactly. The U.S., as soon as any of that happened, would just be like, nope, nuke it.
Not even
nuke
just
that
nuke
area.
Like they find out like, it reacts to sound.
Right.
Maybe we should like rig up some giant boom boxes and fill it with really high decibel bullshit. Like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me?
But
this, like, I like the silent. Like, the only thing I liked about The Family was I understood everything they said in sign language without subtitles.
Yeah.
Because I speak the language.
But anyway, back to Postal. The point I was trying to make is that
back to the shitty.
Well, yeah, exactly. Back to this even bigger piece of shit.
Talking about
it's no. What I was gonna say is that like that you have people who are on one side when it comes to a movie like this who are like, it's terrible, it's trash, I hate it. And you have another group of people who are like, no, man, just you don't think about it. Just shut your brain off. It's fine. And both of those are valid because the movies are, when you get down to it, are a subjective experience. But I do think that there is a kind of objectivity where, like, you don't get me wrong. I love some movies that are just fucking dumb, like that aren't trying to say anything like smart or satirize anything. That they're just dumb and they have nothing else going for them other than they're dumb. But at what point do you think a movie stops being just like on a scale of like from just turn your brain off and enjoy it to this is dumb and it's objectively terrible? Like, what do you think is like where would you put Postal on that scale of, like, let's say 0 being it's dumb and it has no redeeming qualities and 10 being just shut your brain off and it's an amazing experience?
5.
It's like right down the middle for you?
Yeah. Like, I know it's bad, but I enjoy it.
What do you think?
It's one of those movies that I know is terrible. The director's terrible. Some of the actors are good, but for the most part it's bad. But I just enjoy it.
But then what do you think are some of those redeeming qualities? What separates it from being something that's dumb and has no value?
I like some of the humor, some of the like punchline setups, the way certain things are, like when the postal guy gets trapped in like a safe, like behind like a locked door. He figures out a quick thinking way to blow it all up. And sort of a cathartic way, you know, telling your boss to go fuck itself, telling the world, you know, fuck off. I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah.
And just the absolute sheer ridiculousness of everyone, like, especially with nowadays, like, the media saying, hey, this guy did something, and everyone's like, well, the media must be right, so let's fucking get that guy.
Yeah, that's actually kind of smart.
He just dresses in a cop, and everyone's like, where'd he go? Oh, that way.
Yeah.
You know, like, old school kind of cartoon. Like, it's funny in that old school cartoon way.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
The ridiculous, over the top, like even more ridiculous than 80s like movies.
Yeah.
Where everyone's shooting at everything and people get mowed down, you know, wherever, you know, they're shooting wherever, you know, that sort of shit.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just I do get what you're saying, and I definitely like the whole cartoony aspect of it. I mean, it is over the top, but I didn't really think of it like from the perspective of like this is kind of a living, breathing cartoon. Like, that does kind of make a little bit more sense when you take it from that approach. But I don't know. I just still like.
Hey man, that's fine.
It's just not for me. As the first time on the Watchlist podcast where we've had a movie where I just have nothing nice to really say about it. But I mean, like, it just goes to show, like, one of the reasons why I wanted
for different folks.
Yeah, exactly. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this show is because everyone is so locked into their own perspective, and the way that they view movies is very much the same. And one thing that I kind of wanted to get out of doing this series is finding what other people think is good quality and figuring out why they like it. And I mean, I can't, like with Uwe Boll especially, I can't think of a filmmaker I dislike more. and trying to put myself inside his head and put myself in the perspective of like enjoying something that he's made, it was a challenge, and I do see where you're coming from on a lot of points, but it's just still like I don't think I can get into it,
and it's perfectly fine that you do.
Exactly, and that should be a lesson for everybody. You can dislike something without being mad at somebody else for liking it.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you have anything else you want to say about Postal? Because like I feel bad that we went on about Color Out of Space for like a half hour and Postal was only like 10 minutes, but like I can't think of any.
Postal is shit. It doesn't need more than that.
I can't think of a single other thing that I have to say about Postal other than just like, I mean, if anyone out there likes dumb, over the top, in your face action that is kind of like gross and offensive, then go for it. It's not for me. I won't recommend it, but Couper clearly likes it. So if you're like Couper, then it's for you. Go check it out.